I know I promised today that we were going to leave politics. We're going to edge away from politics just a smidge. Um, we are definitely going to look at it from a different perspective, and but there's some thoughts that are going through my head from a much different angle, and they do involve politics from a certain vantage point. Um, I know I would like to, and I wish I could and have tried to not think about it at all. A lot of things, a lot of the elements of this, I've tried to not think about. We're around the thought all day. The more we're stuck inside them, everything we do, we're confronted by certain things. Everywhere we go, even grocery store, whatever. So there's just certain things that are running through my head. But as a people, and maybe I'm just projecting here. So if this is not you, then I apologize for projecting me onto you. But I think as a people, we're very good at seeing the mistakes that other people have made and pointing them out after the fact and criticizing other people as though we don't make mistakes. And again, that might be just me projecting. Maybe I'm really the culprit here. But we're good at doing that. Why? Even in the news, what little I hear, because I do try to avoid it. What little I do hear is oh, we should have known this in January, or you had this information, or you didn't have this information, or you should have done this, or what have you. We're very good at that. And in the Bible, we're very good at that too. We're good at looking in the Bible and saying, well, here's this story of this thing this person did. And really, the writers of the Bible, a lot of the stories that they wrote were specifically laying out the mistakes made, and we see them because they've laid it out for us. And we go, oh, shame on them. They did this thing. It's easy for you to say after someone laid it for you in chronological order, inspired by God, a couple thousand years ago. But the point is not for us to go, I told you so. The Bible says that these things were written for our understanding, for our encouragement, to draw lessons on, because we tend to do the same thing because we're still people. And technology is different and all these things, but we're really still have the same instincts. I want to talk about one of those instincts that comes up again and again and again. As people, we wrestle with things, and even at our most honest, we wrestle with two sides of things. And one of those sides is whatever tendency you have. In any discussion, if there's two sides and you're trying to be in the middle and weigh both sides, you still are weighing things and you're tilted towards one side, whatever it is. And for example, in this story, I know some of the things that we're looking at in our story that's going on around us. There's protection of people, right? That's something that we're all trying to think about as a nation. And then we get into this other side, this other tendency that I'm going to spend my time talking about, which has to do with feeling that I'm being infringed upon. Every day, I feel confined. I go to the grocery store. Now they've got arrows on the floor telling me to go this direction, and I'm sorry, that just grates on my nerves, right? I constantly feel like I'm being, my rights are being denied, or what have you. And when we look at the Bible, this is not a new thing. This idea of rights, it's different today because we have a constitution in this country, and people don't have that. In the Bible there was a law, but there was no constitution per se that guaranteed people rights, and that's kind of a new idea in the scope of history, and we're very attached to it here. I think there's a general yearning for that within people themselves. And so we're no different than people from before. But we see this pop its rears its head up again and again and again. This concept of rights and and it comes out in different ways. But you look at how many times Jesus had to correct his disciples, and they had this notion that we still have, and that is that God was going to fix things with law. They had this heavy dependence on authority and on government structures. And think about what Christ spent 3.5 years trying to teach them, and even in the garden, he was having to tell them, "My kingdom is not of this world, Peter. Put your sword away." And it's not. This is not the kind of fight that I'm here for. I've been trying to teach you this. Well, he dies. He comes back, and what's the first question that they're asking him? Is it at this time you're going to restore the kingdom? Like, Peter, listen. Do you not understand? Do you not understand what I've been trying to tell you? It's not. You know what? You're just going to have to wait, and the Spirit's going to have to teach you, and then they finally get it, right? But then then the apostles are the ones sitting there writing to other people. Our fight is not against flesh and blood. It's the same thing over and over and over again. They had to learn it in every epistle, just about Ephesians and Galatians. He's constantly telling the apostles are constantly saying, listen, it's not about law. Why did he have to constantly say that? Because human beings have this dependency on law. We think that rules and government institutions and establishments are going to fix things for us and make things right. And we want them. Nowhere in the scriptures, and we're told to pray for our leaders, but nowhere are we told to pray that they're going to create a righteous world for us to live in. And we would love that. It would alleviate me from responsibility if they would do that for me. But nowhere are we guaranteed that. He just says, listen, pray that you can live a peaceable life. That's pretty much all we can hope. And that the rulers are going to accomplish. They just politicians seem to have the inability to do the right thing on a regular basis. I mean, every once in a while they'll find a nut buried in the ground in a blizzard. They get lucky. But I say that a little bit jokingly, but that's kind of the reality of the situation. That's the law is not what's going to save this world. It is going to be Christians, and we get so caught up in my rights. I get so caught up and understand. It's easy for me to look back and say, well, you should have known that the kingdom was this or that. But I'm going to finish this video, I'm going to upload it, and someone will say something, or I'll hear something somewhere about some requirement, that restriction or whatever, and I'm going to get angry all over again because of the impeding on my rights, because that's just in my nature. It's in my character as a human being. We are so blinded by the concept of authority that we think that if the right person gets elected, or what happens, what the right rule gets passed, that it's going to make everything wonderful, and it's not. If the Supreme Court were tomorrow to take up abortion and come out with the right answer, that wouldn't make life perfect. Maybe we would feel, we'd be glad. I'd be glad, but that's not the answer. That's not the answer to the world's problems, is the Supreme Court making a good decision. The answer to the problem is for Christians, including me, to learn that my responsibility is to bring the right kingdom to people, and not to rely on a physical kingdom to produce God's righteousness. So I hope that was a little less political, and maybe even tomorrow will be less political. That's all that I'll make in terms of a promise.